Welcome to Women in Power Active, an initiative started by UR Sportswear to empower women to find their own active adventure. I'm your host, Jacqueline Gross. Today we are speaking with Kim Holstine. She is a runner that mostly focuses on the half marathon distance, and she's an ER nurse. We focus on how to balance life and be consistent with training, but also taking care of yourself and your mental health. How did you start running, and did you have anybody like in your life that gave you that example to start running, or like what was like, I'm just gonna do this? When did that happen for you?
I actually wasn't as a kid. I didn't start running till my mid-20s.
Okay.
I was never a good runner. Like in gym class, it was always awful. I did like dance growing up, and I remember my gym teacher being like you do ballet for hours and you can't run, and I'm like, I can't. It's like I can't breathe. I have asthma,
Yeah.
um, so that was always something. But I was in my mid-20s, and I suddenly got an itch, and I was like, I think I'm going to sign up for the Detroit Free Press Half Marathon. And I told my stepmom. She was like, "You're going to run," and it wasn't really meant to be like mean spirited. It was like, really, you're gonna run? And I'm like, well, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it really good, and I'm gonna do it a lot. And so that
Yeah.
year I did 3 halves, and
Wow.
that was what it kind of I kind of was pushed. Like, I just got it on a whim, and I kind of was pushed by her, kind of making me she didn't make me feel bad, but a little bit like, well, now I'm kind of stubborn. So if someone tells
Yeah.
me I can't do something, then I'm really gonna do it. And if someone
Mhm.
tells me to do something, I'm probably really not gonna do it. So that was what really pushed me. That's how I started, and then I just from then on, I've just kept going.
So you did dance growing up. Like, what other sports did you?
I did ballet, tap, and jazz. I
Mhm.
always really liked tap the best, though. That was my thing. So I did softball too. I was a fast pitch pitcher. I did
Oh.
not play in like high school, but I played until I aged out of little league. So I think I was like 14. And I did first base when I wasn't pitching. I played
Mhm.
soccer for like a year, but it was mostly dance and softball was what I did.
What's the motivation for you to like keep going, even if it's not races right now?
I just feel better, like, mentally and physically. If I don't work out for a few days, I feel kinda sluggish. Like, there's every other week I work 3 days in a row, so I don't get to work out, and despite having an active job, I still don't feel good like I do from working out.
Mhm.
And then the other motivator is, like, seeing results. Like, I started doing weights, like, 2 years ago, and once I see the results, I'm like, "Okay, now I wanna keep going," like, because
Mhm.
I feel so good.
When you are dealing with anxiety or stress from work, um, how does like running help you with that?
So running truthfully is my outlet. It is. That's how I get my stress out. I typically don't run after work if I have to be at work the next day because my shifts are so long. I only have so much time between shifts. I'll maybe sleep like 6 hours. But on the days that I get off work and it's terrible and I don't have to go back, I get out and run. I just like get my anger out. And those are truthfully some of my best runs. But it is a huge stress reliever for me. I have nowhere to be, nothing to do, nothing to think about except just go out and run. And that literally is my stress outlet.
No, I think you're so grounded. I don't know. I think it's like maybe because of your job, but like it seems like you have a good handle on not like letting other people's feelings like impact what you do. Or I guess you said your stepmom like kind of like you're stubborn and you like pushed against that, but I feel like not just that, it's like you are doing what you set out to do, and like it doesn't like other people's like comments or like feelings don't really impact you. Not putting pressure on you, you're putting pressure on yourself. Is that kind of true, do you think?
It's true now. So in my 20s, I had a lot of anxiety all the time. I worried very much what people thought of me. I wanted to make everyone happy, and I had a lot of anxiety or surrounded by that. And
Mhm.
I was always wanted to change it, and I just couldn't figure out how. And oddly enough, the way it changed is my dad passed away in 2018, very suddenly. And when he passed, he was only 54, so he was very young.
Oh my god.
And I was like, okay, so if I'm my dad, which I'm not, obviously, I have 19 years left to live. And I'm spending all this time anxious about this and that. And why am I worrying about this stuff? And so that was the driving force that changed how I thought about things. Somehow that pushed me into, I don't really care what people think. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to set boundaries. If you don't bring better to my life, then I really have no reason. Like, I'm not going to keep people around to bring me down, or I don't know, that was like a very positive change in my life, despite it being a very, very negative thing. So my 30s have been completely different because of that. So that's what somehow, like, I flipped, and that's how I live my life now. And things are so much better to not worry about
Yeah.
that stuff. It's just, I don't care. You can like me or not, or you can think what I'm doing is great or not. It's my life. And like I said, if I'm my dad, I don't have very much time left, which I know is not true. Um,
Mhm.
but also because of my job, I know I could be gone before 19 years. So
Yeah.
um, why am I living my life thinking about what everyone else wants or thinks of me? I can't make everyone happy.
Yeah.
So that was what kind of flipped my thought process.
You made a like tragic situation something that like was positive for yourself in the long run.
It pushed
Um,
me to get more healthy too, because my dad was not a healthy guy. And I'm like, gosh, why I don't want to like exacerbate the possibility of that happening to me. I want to be healthy. I want to like take care of myself. I want to live a long
mhm.
time. So that helped too. It pushed me to, that's when I started doing weights and stuff like that on top of just running. And that's what pushed me there.
Is there anybody who like influenced you growing up, even if it wasn't like athletics, like somebody who you got your stubborn drive from?
I think I'm just stubborn, like from my
Yeah.
mom. I wouldn't really say my mom's a big influence. My stepmom was a big influence on me growing up. She was around since I was 10. Um, and like when you're a teenager, your parents, you don't always get along with them. And it wasn't that she went against my dad in any way, but she was just kind of always there. And she just was a big influence on me. And I can't even really describe exactly how. It's just she was always there, and she was like an extra parent. And my dad did too. We didn't have the best relationship growing up, but as in like in my 20s, he was like a huge influence on me, very, very close with him. So um probably my dad and stepmom more growing up though.
Hmm. Yeah, she's like a really big into fitness too, isn't she?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, she is a physical therapy assistant, massage therapist, and yeah, she's really into like trying to be healthy and fit. And yeah, so that was definitely something that pushed me. I got my first treadmill from her. It was her old one, and that
Mhm.
was part of what I used to use to
Yeah.
when I started running.
What was your favorite race that you've done?
My favorite race is the Detroit half marathon, the free press.
Okay.
I just think it's cool because you cross the bridge into Canada, and then you're running in Canada and you come back through the tunnel, and I'm slow, so I'm always crossing the bridge when the sun's coming up, and it's just a nice
Oh,
view, and it's just cool. They like welcome you to Canada. And the tunnel I hate, but the rest of the race, like it's just a cool race, and the environment, and there's just so many people. It's
mhm.
so everyone's encouraging you, and that's definitely my favorite.
Did you do it last year or was
I
it?
did not. I
Okay.
haven't registered for a race in a while. The last 3 years, it's fallen on my work weekend,
Oh.
so I couldn't do it.
Mhm.
This year I could have. I don't work on Sundays anymore, but it's after 2 days of work, and I was just like, "Eh." I made myself this year. I just made myself get up on the same day and run 13 miles at home.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. That works.
Yeah.
Even just like having that running those 13 miles because you wanted to be that at the Detroit Free Press Marathon, but you couldn't um because of COVID, or you were worried about giving it to somebody else. Like you decided to do that on your own and just for yourself.
It was fun. I remember walking down the road like 8 miles in, eating gummy bears for
Yeah.
only 5 more miles to go.
Yeah.
It was a great morning. It was fun.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, you did it by yourself, just for yourself, and you just like, yeah, but it's like you're at peace. So you know what I mean? Like you just have that moment of
It's
like,
like a meditation, like that's
yeah,
how it was for me. So yeah, it makes me feel happy.
yeah,
That's what keeps me with the consistency of getting up and doing it. You're gonna feel awesome when you start. Just I know you don't want to right now. Come on,
right.
let's go. Let's
Yeah, exactly. You're working as a nurse in the ER, right? How has that changed since like COVID happened?
So initial round of COVID, the way it changed was we had like no patients because everyone was terrified. And
Yeah,
so we're like, oh, is this how it's going to be? Well, we can manage this because everyone else stayed away
yeah.
and we were able to manage the COVID patients. Well, now no one's afraid.
Mhm.
And so we have, first of all, we're headed up in Michigan again, very badly. Our numbers are climbing. And
Mhm.
so we have all these COVID patients coming in. Then we also have all the people who haven't seen their doctors in 2 years. So they're extremely sick now because doctors aren't seeing people.
Yeah.
Our hospital is full, so we have nowhere to put anyone. So the ER regularly every day where I work is holding 50 people that need beds upstairs and can't get them. Um, uh, I've never seen so much death, truthfully.
Oh my
In my time in the ER, it used to be I'd go say I work 3 days a week. Say I'd go, we might not have anyone die or one. Now it's at least one every day, if not three in a shift. And it's ICU ventilators, people who can't breathe, so it's unmanageable. And now we're losing staff because no one wants to be a nurse anymore. Who wants to work in this environment?
Yeah.
So we're working short every day. I'll have 9, 10 patients to myself some days.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's not fun. It's not fun at all.
No. Where are you working out of?
I'm at Henry Ford,
Okay.
which is in Macomb County in
Mhm.
Michigan here. So it's a level 2 trauma center. We're pretty big. The hospital has almost 400 beds. We're just under 60 beds in our ER. Some days lately we've had 120 patients in the ER, despite having
Wow.
60 rooms.
That's wild.
Yeah. I wish people could see it. I wish there was a way for us to like wear a body cam. Obviously, that would violate HIPAA. People could see that because that is the truth. I went into work the other day and the people in the lobby had been there since the shift before, 12 hours waiting to be seen. Um,
Wow.
and they can't get into their doctors. And obviously, they have things like kidney stones or something. But when you have a kidney stone, you're stable. You have to wait. And it's heartbreaking for all of us too, because it's
Mhm.
not why we became nurses, to check off boxes and barely give minimum care to these people. And then the people are angry. Yeah, you're mad. You waited 12 hours and they take it out on us. So
Are they doing like is the hospital like preparing you at all for that? Are they helping you for like emotional support? Are you
they
therapy?
have an employee assistance program. I haven't
Yeah.
explored it yet. It's probably about time for me to do so.
Yeah.
I took a day off this week to give myself 7 days in a row. I went to my manager. I said, I don't care if it counts as a call in. I'm taking Tuesday off. I need to not be here for a few days because I'm telling you, I'm going to walk out those doors
Yeah.
if this continues. And they were understanding of it, but I mean, you can have hiring fairs all you want, but if no nurses come to them, because no one, like, I don't know what they're going to do, really. I truthfully don't.
Mhm.
Because it's like you can't stop the patients from coming in who can't breathe, but you also don't have enough nurses to take care of them. So I don't know if the healthcare system's going to
Yeah.
collapse and have to start over. I don't really know, but it's a very scary and high stress every single day. So yeah, I definitely need to probably talk to that or explore that. And it's like free therapy for us. Yeah.
I don't know if this is the same thing with Michigan, but they're having so many like rotating, I don't know if that's the right term, but like rotating nurses that don't usually stay there.
Yes.
And so they might not know a lot about the hospital that they're at and things like that. So that's adding like another layer to have like rotating nurses with like only a few nurses that are actually there every day or every
Yes.
week.
We have those. We're like almost 50% traveling nurses now. I got to work the other day and I knew like 3 people at report because these are all
Wow.
travelers. This is all they can get right now. And then that exacerbates the problem because a lot of nurses are leaving because they see this money and they're like, why am I working here for a regular wage when I can go make $5,000 a week somewhere else? And
Right.
so we've lost several to traveling too.
Wow. Because they get my paid more to like go around to different hospitals.
Yeah, they're called crisis contracts because we're in
Uh-huh.
crisis, so the pay is astronomical. You can make what you'd make in a year in 2 months, and then you can either take it off or you can just keep there's nurses making $250,000 a year right now because of this.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild. So it's like encouraging nurses to make it worse, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically, I mean,
Yeah.
if your administration isn't gonna give us, the people who are, like, say, loyal to your company, a better pay, and I'm not saying $5,000 a week because that's unsustainable, but
Yeah.
if you're, like, a young single person with nothing to tie you down, why wouldn't you go do that for 13 weeks?
Yeah.
Like, why not? You're gonna just make tons of money, pay your student loans off, buy a house, like,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. Wow. Yeah, I wish this was more known because like it's so wild. I just didn't realize that you're dealing with an incredible stressful situation. You're telling yourself, okay, well now I need to get some assistance. Now I need to like run because it's gonna make me feel better. Like you're the person doing that for yourself. And that's like a huge like undertaking and like should be applauded really because like there's a lot not a lot of people who could do that. So
It's just a hard environment right now. A lot of people with mental health issues, and, if anyone thinks that there's gonna be enough therapy to fix these nurses and doctors after this, I
no.
there's not enough therapy in the world that's gonna
Yeah.
fix this stuff, so, yeah, I'm not opposed to therapy. I've gone to it before, and I definitely recognize that it's having an impact on me
Mhm.
now. I'm kind of behind the game, a lot of the nurses at work, like where I held it together a lot longer, but
Yeah.
I definitely can recognize that I'm there because I don't want anything to fall apart because of my job, because my life is awesome. I have a great life. I'm fortunate. But I don't want to let, yeah, work and this pandemic
Mhm.
drag any of that down.
Yeah. Do you do you think that like what's kind of keeping that mental awareness or like it is a form of mental toughness to keep yourself like vigilant of like checking in with yourself and being self-aware. I think that takes like mental strength. Do you know like where that came from or
I really don't. No, I truthfully don't.
yeah.
I never used to be good at that. I don't know if it was just kind of the part of the change in me, with like everything that changed after my dad. I don't know. I mean, I do have my brother, he checks in with me pretty much every day.
Mhm.
And it's not like, hey, how are you mentally? It's more like he checks in with me every day to make sure everything's okay. Cause I used to talk to my dad every day on the phone. So my
Mhm.
brother's kind of filled that. And so I always just, it does make me take a step back. Like he checked in with me. I got to check in with me. Am I okay? Like, and it is
Mhm.
him seeing if I'm okay, but he won't say that. Like
Yeah.
he's calling to tell me about his wrong food order or whatever. But I think that's why I continue to check in with myself because I want to be present for my brother. I want to be present. Like my boyfriend's an awesome guy. He's so great. He's so calm. He brings so much good to my life that I need to keep myself. And if I want to keep these people in my life, so
Mhm.
I need to keep myself in.
Mhm.
I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but I need to stay mentally okay so
Yeah.
that I can be there for them too.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah, you want to make sure that you're strong enough to be able to support them in
Mhm.
their time of need and they're supporting you kind of like it's like a team, you know,
Yeah,
like trying to
yeah.
make
And who wants to feel depressed and sad and anxious? And
no.
I don't want to get there. So that's why I try to just be like, oh, this isn't good. And that's why last week I went to my manager, hey, I'm not coming this week. I'm really sorry. But
Yeah.
my job, uh, like my job can go on without me. My family can't.
Right.
So, I mean, they can obviously, but you know, that hospital's gonna survive. They fill my role in a second. So
Mhm.
I can't let myself fall apart because of that.
Exactly. That's a good way to think about it. What are some feelings or like some ways that you know that you're like having issues and you might need to go to therapy or you might need that run or something else? What are those like? What does that feel like for you?
For me, it feels like I don't want to get out of bed. That's the biggest one. Not wanting to do any of my hobbies. So, like, it's literally a drag to get myself to run. Whereas some days I feel excited to.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest ones. And I also get like I get a little bit irritable. I just feel angry by a lot of stuff. And that's when I'm like, oh, I'm getting angry. This is a stupid thing to get angry about.
Hmm.
I probably need to check myself because why am I angry about this? So it comes out as anger and
Hmm.
tiredness, truthfully, are the biggest things.
Yeah. No, those are good metrics to determine that too. And just like taking, like you said, how you normally are and how you normally act, and you're like, okay, this is weird for me. Which is
Takes my peace from me, I guess, because I am so calm. If my peace is suddenly taken from me, there's something to reevaluate.
mhm. Yeah, no, you're very calm. No, I think it's good. I think it's very good, especially for the job that you're doing. If I came into the ER and I was very stressed out and you came in and you had your energy of being very calm, I would be like, okay, it's gonna be okay. So
You actually say that, but I've actually had patients complain about me because
yeah.
they think that I don't think that their emergency is urgent enough.
Oh.
And I'm like, listen, if I'm freaking out, we're all in
Yes.
trouble. Like if the ER nurse is freaking out, that's not good. Like you
Right.
want me to be calm, but I have like I had a guy yell, "You don't even care." And I'm like, I do care. I'm just handling it. Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna jump up if I did that every time there was an emergency. I was like, oh, like I wouldn't be a very effective ER nurse, would I?
You can't think like
Gosh, you want me to be calm.
yeah. I've had this feeling that like I haven't raced because like I know that like I won't necessarily probably transfer COVID, but I always just like have this feeling like, okay, well, I'm not like a professional athlete. So like I don't need to be racing right now, especially during 2020. Like I was just like, I don't need to do this. So if anything that I do could possibly spread COVID, I haven't felt the need to race just because it's not as important as not having COVID spread. Yeah. Have you not like signed up for races for that reason or like
Yeah, a little bit. I carry around like this. Obviously, I'm swimming in COVID 3 days a week.
mhm,
Thankfully, somehow I haven't gotten it that I know of. Of course, I could have, and I just didn't really get sick. But I have this very big fear of spreading it to
mhm,
people, like if I'm somehow carrying it from work or in general. So yeah, races were something I was like, I do not need to be doing that because there's thousands of people there. Um, I try to, yeah, that's been a big part of it.
mhm.
I I couldn't live with I wouldn't know obviously, but I feel like I couldn't live with the thought that what if I gave someone COVID and killed them, like because their body couldn't handle it. I don't know, it scares me. So, but I
Yeah.
am like I've gotten my booster, all that. Like I try to be as responsible as possible and protect people. So
Yeah, it's hard because like it's your job and you can't avoid being like well, not you're not going to be exposed because you're protecting yourself, but like you're around it, so it's really hard not to feel like that, I'm sure.
yeah, I'm always afraid. Like, of course, I wear my PPE at work, but you're always like, what if I made one small misstep and that's all it takes to get it?
Mhm.
One small thing at work, and what if I'm just carrying it? Or it's all these what ifs for all this time. I do see people now,
Yeah.
but of course, everyone that I'm around, like I try to maintain like a certain group of people. I don't really see a lot of extra people
Mhm.
other than, grocery store, things like that. I
Right.
don't go out to eat a lot. Like I do, but not frequently. Uh,
Mhm.
I just try to I stick at home a lot, truthfully, which I was already a homebody before COVID, so it's not
Yeah.
a big deal to me.
No, it's good, but that's also like you're cognizant of that like all the time. Like you're
Mhm.
just thinking about that all the time, which is
Literally always thinking of it. I feel a little bit better now than I did at the beginning. Like at the beginning, all we saw was like all the videos from Italy and stuff where it was like, if you got it, you're going to die. And then so I felt like every day I went to work, I was just walking to my death sentence. It was like, not when,
yeah.
it wasn't if, it was when, like, when do I get it? When do I go on a ventilator? And this is it. Like,
Um,
now I feel a lot better. Obviously, of course, there's still the chance that I'm the one off 36-year-old who gets it and goes on a vent. But I know it's not as likely now. So
yeah.
I definitely feel a lot more at ease in that aspect.
You're saying your job is 3 days a week. You run like on the days that you're not working. What's your mileage like? Like, how would you balance that since you're not running 3 days?
I have never trained for anything bigger than a half marathon. I've always
Okay.
kind of knew that was my limit. 13's plenty for me.
Yeah.
But mileage wise, like when I was leading up to just running 13 on my own recently, I was up to like 8, but I only ran 8 one day a week, and then I was running 3 to 5 the other days.
Okay.
So truthfully, my job being only 3 days a week, I have 4 days a week to work with. So it's kind of nice. I only work 12, maybe 13 days a month. So it doesn't really have a huge impact. I have the time, which is nice compared to a 5 day a week.
Yeah. And then you said you only get like 6 hours of sleep between those days.
Yeah, I have to be up at 5. I leave just before 6. I don't get home till after 8 p.m. Then by the time I shower, eat, get in bed, it will be like after 9. I'm usually asleep by like 10, up again at 5. If I can't fall asleep, which I can't a lot because my
Yeah.
brain's usually, woo, I'm usually wound up after a shift. It'll be maybe 6, 7 hours of sleep.
Wow. And so does that like impact you at all? Like as far as like, because I think at a certain point you probably have to like get more sleep to kind of catch up for those times when you are a little more sleep deprived.
Yeah, my 3 days in a row kill me. I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday every other week, and by that Friday, um, I usually can barely run a good distance without feeling like my legs are bricks, and
Mhm.
I do usually sleep in because I'm very tired by the end of those 3.
Yeah. Yeah, that is tough, but I think it's like important, like you said, you have this like driving force of like I will feel better, it's going to help me, this is good for me kind of a thing to keep you going. But wow, yeah, 3 days in a row and you're having to be like focused the whole time and like making sure that everything is how it should be, like there's high stakes there. So like even if you did get full sleep you probably would still be like tired from that.
Oh, I'm sure. And
Yeah.
that's another thing people are always like, "You only work 3 days a week. That's awesome." I'm like, "I do, but it's all of your work crammed into 3 days." And it's not just a it's mentally and physically demanding it both ways. Like it's tiring. Your brain has to be on the entire time. You have to be thinking. There's no checking out when there's lives. And I'm not saying I'm fixing everyone's lives, but some of those medications and stuff you have to be on top of. They could hurt someone. They ran out, someone could die. There's a lot to think about. So your brain the whole time is just like going.
Yeah.
It's tiring.
What is your training plan?
I kind of wing it. I don't really have like a plan.
Yeah.
I usually aim to run just like one longer run a week. And it depends on how I feel. If I'm feeling great, sometimes I'll run more than one. If I don't feel great, I'll run shorter runs. I don't really like make a plan. I just do it, and of course work my mileage up. You know how Michigan winters are. I don't run a ton in the winter and compared
Mhm.
to the summer. So usually my spring is like start working my way back up.
Mhm.
I just wing it. I go off how I feel. If I don't feel it that day, I turn around and that's that. Like I don't write it out or anything like that.
You are doing something consistently that's hard, that even if you don't think that it is, and the consistency of it, I think speaks to the toughness of it. What like words of empowerment would you give to women to like start running or get into being active or adventuring?
I don't know if I have like a word of empowerment about running because I do it so much for me. Unrelated to running, something I always tell people, I train a lot of new graduate nurses. And I
Mhm.
always just tell them, you're one person, you have two hands, you can only do what you can do. And you're not going to make everyone happy. And so just do your best. And that's all you can do. You can't live for other people and what they think and what they want from you.
Mhm.
It's otherwise, you're not going to be mentally well.
And I like your one person with two hands thing.
That's
Yeah.
I tell them all that because I started as a new graduate in the ER and it's terrifying. And did I cry? Yes. Do I still cry? Yes. But yeah, you got two hands. Everyone's gonna want something from you. You just gotta do what's important at the time
Mhm.
for you or for if it unrelated to work, but related to work for your patient. In
Big
your
point.
own life too, which you are the most important. So you
Mhm.
only do what you can. If you don't have the capacity for other people at that moment, then you don't have capacity for other people um, to take on whatever their maybe complaints or to even just spend time with people. My
Mhm.
friends know that about me. They'll say, "Hey, are you up for doing this today?"
Mhm.
And that's important. So put yourself first, not in a
Yeah.
selfish way, but for your own mental health.
Yeah. And I don't think we should speak to it as being like selfish. I think that it's like just important, and like for us to be whole people, we need to make sure that we're okay first
Mhm.
before you get into a relationship. You need to make sure that you're okay first. People don't take that. Or like a job or anything else, you need to make sure that you're okay before you can take on other things. So it is important to be a functional person in society to.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think the only way you can be in a successful relationship is to be able to be by yourself and take care of yourself first. I don't,
Mhm.
I've had failures because of that. And once you realize you can do anything on your own, then you can have other people in your life.
Exactly. Thing like, do you have anything that you're like promoting or anything at all right now?
There is something kind of important for
Mhm.
healthcare workers who don't know it exists. This
Okay.
is something that was put together because of the pandemic. It's called the Emotional PPE Project, and it's where therapists around the country are providing free services to healthcare workers.
Okay.
You can look it up on Instagram. I think that's a pretty cool project that I've read about. Emotional PPE Project.
Okay.
PPE, like a personal protection equipment. It's
Mhm.
it's literally therapists who have volunteered their time to help take care of healthcare workers, and not just limited to nurses, of course. Like
Mhm.
the rest, a lot of people get glazed over in all of this, particularly like respiratory therapists. They're at the head of the bed when we're putting someone on a ventilator. They're important too.
Mhm.
Um, the pharmacists, everyone who's involved in it all. Everyone sees nurses and doctors, but it's the hospital as a team of the people who are on the floor with the patients. So I'm not personally promoting anything other than, my gosh, as nurses and doctors and our respiratory therapists, we got to take care of ourselves. You have
Mhm.
to. These hospitals, they're corporations at the end of the day. You're replaceable to them, but you're not replaceable to any of your family or anyone else. And I know a lot of people feel very hopeless right now, and I get it because I've definitely left work shifts feeling pretty defeated. Like, what good did I even do today? And I think we just all have to support each other and seek out. There's nothing bad about therapy or talking to someone about it who's unbiased, or that's their job to hear about it.
That's good.
If we can't take care of ourselves, you can't take care of your patients. You can't.
Definitely support that. What's your, or do you want anybody to follow you anywhere?
I only have Instagram, which I'm just KA Holstein, but I don't even think I've posted since July, so I don't post much. So I don't really have, anyone can follow me on Instagram, that's fine, but it's
Yeah.
it's mostly just pictures of my dog. So,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
post funny memes about work. So that's about that's about all I got.
Yes, you are amazing, and don't think that you're not. And I also don't put that like, oh, I only run sometimes and I'm not very fast. That's not the grade. We're not grading on that scale. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.